To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Happy Saturday as we connect you to more of what makes you happy. It is Kingdom Report Live time. Hello, everybody. Wade Heath joining you here from the Kingdom Report Live studios to discuss with you all the latest Disney Parks news and info. There's so much to get to always, and we have to do it the right way, don't we? And that requires getting in touch with some of our friends, theme park experts, as we like to say, socially distanced still, but keeping their distance and ensuring that there is safety top of mind here. We want to make sure everybody is healthy, and therefore, at a distance, is our very good friends, theme park experts from AttractionFaction.net, Katrina Manzone and Tyler Crouch.
Hi, everybody. Happy Saturday.
Going? Yeah, happy Saturday to everyone.
Happy Memorial Day weekend to you two.
Oh, thank you.
Right.
We're trying to be one-upping us, huh?
I mean, you didn't say it. Thought I'd say
it. No, you're right.
You kind of have to.
Yeah.
It is a very important day.
Yeah.
I like to think so. And the man that typically is in Walt Disney World as our reporter, but is still hunkered down somewhere in the state of Nebraska, having fled this terrible pandemic, it is Gared Hassel.
How's it going, everyone? I just want to say that, like you lovely folks, I've got a dream. That's why I'm here at the Snuggly Duckling.
Oh. I have the biggest dream, and the Snuggly Duckling will help me realize it.
Absolutely. We've got a lovely chicken for lunch with some nice grog ale. And for dessert, we have some lovely cookies. Yeah, so Snuggly Ducklings, we're open for business.
Let's do it. Absolutely.
Don't tell Daisy Duck that you're over there, though. Otherwise, she'll give you a bunch of crap.
Yeah, we don't want
that. Yeah. We'll tell Donald. We'll tell Donald.
He's much friendlier.
And somebody who I know will be joining you there shortly because he has a dream too. It's the man that makes the world go around in our production dungeon, producer Curt.
How's it going, Wade?
I'm telling you, Curt, feeling like the unofficial kickoff to summer. What do you got there?
It's Country Bears.
A Country Bears jug.
Yeah, I figured I would drink from my Country Bear jug.
How classic is that?
Since I can't be at Disneyland, I have my bear jug.
Now, did you find this at Disney World, Disneyland?
Disneyland.
That is a Disneyland jug.
This is a Disneyland jug. Yes, I do have Disney World jugs.
Excuse me?
Yes, I'm going to stop right there.
Oh my! Wow. Well, I will tell you, sir, that jug.
Yes.
That is something that every collector will one day search for. That is a jug that I myself would like.
Okay.
So for my birthday.
All right. I'll mention. Next time I can go to to Disneyland.
Yeah,
really
you would
anywhere.
gift that. Please do that for me.
I am getting the itch. I need to go back.
Yes.
Like right away.
Yeah. No, the two of us will go together. You will give me your jug. We will buy you a new jug, and life will be full of jugs.
Jugs.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Appropriate family show. Ladies and gentlemen, big news to get to this week. So much to talk about. And we start with perhaps the grandest of all stories, and that is Josh D'Amaro has been named the chairman of Parks, Products, and Experiences. Ladies and gentlemen, there's no greater feeling than that of chairmanship. Congratulations to Josh D'Amaro.
Yeah!
The
Wow, confetti.
Walt Disney World president who has been named chairman of the Parks Division. Such a big moment, such a great celebratory experience. There's nothing greater than knowing that the man who deserves it the most is, in fact, chairman. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. If you,
I bet Junior really wanted that confetti.
Yeah, we didn't celebrate this way when Bob Chapek became CEO.
I think I wore black for mourning. Now I'm wearing just black for just wearing it. I don't know. I really wish I had confetti now.
Yeah, well, way to be prepared, guys. My gosh. This is a big moment for all of us to know that Josh D'Amaro, who had been Walt Disney World president and then before that Disneyland president, has been a part of Disney Parks now for so long, has finally gotten the nod to become the chairman of the Parks Division. This is huge for everybody. This is huge for cast members. This is big for guests. This is big for the Disney fan community because this guy really does have a huge following. Okay, and what I mean by that is there are so many people employee-wise with the Disney company that celebrate this man, that appreciate him, that respect him as a leader. And then on the flip side, guests absolutely adore this guy. He's like a Disney celebrity when he is spotted in the parks. Everyone's taking pictures with him. Disney Springs this past week upon its reopening, he was out there. He had like a line. He was basically his own, character meet and greet. It was so much fun. Gared being the Walt Disney World reporter, what does it mean to you to know that somebody like Josh D'Amaro has been named chairman of parks?
Hey, that is truly amazing, and I think it's well deserved. Even though he was only president of Walt Disney World for a short time, I know that he touched a lot of lives there, and that he improved a lot of cast member lifestyles, such as improving break rooms and just wanting to know what the cast is actually going through and how their lives can be improved. So he honestly is a great guy. On the last day of the parks being open, I was at Magic Kingdom, and me along with other guests, we were in Town Square, and he came out center stage with all the Disney characters, and he was just celebrating. He was waving and smiling, and he just seems like such a likable guy. I'm very, very proud of him and all his accomplishments, and I look forward to what he will accomplish. And one thing I love is his personality. He's very charming, energetic, outgoing, and he adds that sense of pizzazz that Walt had when he would present ideas. So I'm looking forward to when he is introducing new rides and all these other fun things that we look forward to as guests.
Replacing the spot that Bob Chapek formerly held, the chairman of the Parks Division, and Bob was promoted to the CEO position earlier this year, and during that time, between that point and now, the chairman position had been vacant, and we had all been sort of wondering, speculating who's going to fill that spot, and there had been no mention as to who was going to be going into that role. There was even some speculation that Josh had just arrived to Walt Disney World, therefore. Is he really going to be the pick? He just got there. He just became the president. We also saw some other moves as Rebecca Campbell, the president of Disneyland, also got promoted to a chairman spot, overseeing a different division of the company. And she had only been at Disneyland for a short amount of time as well. So lots of moving, lots of shaking. Tyler, Katrina, Josh D'Amaro, a well-respected leader. This goes to show you how great leadership can impact people's moods and definitely lift people's spirits. What do you initially think of this news that this guy is now in charge of the entire parks portfolio?
I think it's awesome. He's a really personable guy. I've never met him, unfortunately, but he seems like he really cares about the guests and the cast members alike, and that just really goes a long way. I think that. I think a lot of people panicked a little, including ourselves, when Chapek was named the CEO, but knowing that Josh is going to be there to actually be in charge of the parks, which is the part that I love about Disney the most, not to say I don't love their movies and things like that, but the parks, I think, are my most important thing. So knowing he's going to be in charge of that stuff, puts at ease my fears of Chapek.
It's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow. I am so happy. Just like Tyler said, I think I don't want Chapek anywhere near the park. And I'm glad that D'Amaro is now moving into that section so he can take over. He's done pretty well. He went to Disneyland, then he went to Disney World. Now he's chairman.
He's doing it all. Yeah.
Good job, guy.
He's pulled it off, and with that shakeup, as we had mentioned, he's now being moved out of the Disney World presidency. Rebecca Campbell being moved out of the Disneyland presidency, and that has now opened up spots for two new presidents, both of which, well, have been announced. It is exciting to announce that Jeff Vail has been named president for Walt Disney World, and our dear friend Ken Patrick has been named president of Disneyland. And so these guys both come from different realms of the company, as I understand it. The new president of Disneyland was kind of a marketing guru who helped bring the Year of a Million Dreams around back after the 50th anniversary of Disneyland. And as somebody that was a part of the Disneyland Dream Squad at the time, was part of the Year of a Million Dreams, that was one of the greatest promotions I'd ever been a part of as a cast member. Absolutely lifted my spirits when it came to being a cast member, and morale shot through the roof, especially for our team. There's no greater position I think I've ever held in the Disney company than that one. So to know that he had a hand in creating something like that means that potentially he's going to be bringing some extra magic to the Disneyland Resort and the cast members there. So it's exciting to see all of these changes happen and all of this movement occur. But I think that the one sort of cynical piece to this, if I may, is that I'm a little worried that potentially they are putting Josh D'Amaro in this chairman position, not necessarily because he doesn't deserve it, but that they're putting him in this position because he is a guy who has so much goodwill built up with the cast members and with the guests. He's a superstar in the Disney company right now. He's a superstar to the public at the moment. So for Disney fans that even know a little bit about the parks, they love this guy. And I think the real concern that I have is he's being positioned in a role where we know what's coming. And that is Disney parks are going to have to make dramatic cuts moving forward in order to stay profitable. The whole company is going to have to make some pretty dramatic changes to the way that they operate in order to please shareholders. And putting him in this position means that his goodwill is going to get spent real quick because he's going to have to be the face of a lot of these major decisions that get passed down. Tyler, when you think about that, when you think about these changes that are absolutely coming, we all know it's coming. We all know eventually the company's going to have to make some major changes, some major shifts in order to remain profitable. Are you worried that this might otherwise sort of obscure the goodwill and the good face of Josh D'Amaro, or you think he might be able to pull this off with the magic and finesse that he has with everything else?
I mean, I would hope that people would realize that this isn't going to be Josh's fault necessarily. I know that cast members are probably going to be upset. Some cast members will probably be upset by some of the things that happen in the coming future here. But these cuts are going to happen regardless. And at least you can put this person, Josh, in front of, he's going to care about the cast, and he's going to do what he can to fight for what he can bring to them. So I think that, you're right that they could be doing this as kind of a marketing thing of like, oh, he's got a lot of goodwill, so we're going to have to do some heinous stuff here in a second. But I just think that he's going to try his darndest to really make this work for as many people as possible.
Yeah, let's hope so. He's definitely known as the guy that has a huge commitment to the cast members, and he firmly believes that if the cast is happy, the guest is happy. And it seems simple enough, right? It seems like a very logical way to approach business. And you'll hear it from every executive and every person within the Disney leadership ranks that our cast members are the most important things in the world to us. I can tell you, as somebody that had worked for Disney for over a decade, that you hear it all the time. Very few people ever put that into action. And so there was a lot of talk, and there was always people saying, "Oh my gosh, you are our most important resource." And you felt it for a brief period, and then they would go away, and you wouldn't necessarily feel it being placed into action and see the results of that. Josh was somebody that, while his short time at the Disneyland Resort, he managed to nail so much in terms of cast satisfaction. I've never seen more cast members reacting in a celebratory way over an appointment within the company before than I've seen with Josh D'Amaro's announcement. Cast members across the country are so excited about Josh being put in this position, and knowing that he's now going to be, the foremost authority on all things parks and resorts. This is a big deal for the sake of cast member happiness, and knowing that he always has that vested interest in mind means that the guest experience is going to be top notch. I think that the guest experience is going to be elevated because you have a leader that is so dramatically invested in what the cast members do. So this is great news, and we're excited to have Josh as part of the chairmanship. The other big story this week comes to us by way of not just having Disney Springs reopened, and we certainly saw a lot in terms of how Disney Springs reopened and what's going on that end, and if some people are wearing masks, if some people are not wearing masks, if some people are cooking hot dogs over an open flame. There's a lot going on at Disney Springs, but for the most part, it was deemed successful. The other big piece to this week has been that Universal has announced in Orlando the reopening of their theme parks, and when all of that will be taking place, June the 5th, opening to the public, having some days in which they are going to test and adjust starting June 1st, and going in with annual pass holders, team members, that sort of thing first, and then having some revised ways of opening up Universal. Walt Disney World is said to be presenting this coming week, according to the Orange County mayor, who said that he is fully anticipating them to present their comeback story. We will definitely see what they have in store. Obviously, the Walt Disney Company is the foremost authority when it comes to travel and tourism in Orlando and across the country. As Disney goes, so does most of the travel industry. The mayor of Orange County said Disney has given an indication that next week they will submit their plans, and once they do, then we will schedule that for a full briefing before our Economic Recovery Task Force as well. So at this point, it's an undefined time or date, but we do look forward to seeing that sometime next week. We've speculated here before as to when the parks might reopen for Disney out in Orlando. I know that with Universal sort of jumping the gun here and saying, beginning of June, let's go. This kind of makes me think that perhaps Disney is going to go the same route. Could be completely wrong, all speculation, but it's good to talk about it, I think, because this helps us prepare for what might be coming our way. Katrina, what do you think? Is Disney going to be reopening in the beginning, middle, end of June? I mean, we recently spoke, you and I, and you were mentioning that you thought maybe that goalpost was going to get moved again out, maybe even past July. Things change so quick.
What is happening? Okay. Like, first everybody's like trying to be calm, and we're like, okay, like, let's be safe about this. And like Disney's canceling reservations. And I know Disney canceled reservations for Walt Disney World for people staying between June 7th and like that week. So whatever week that is, 14th. And now they're like, everybody's like pushing, go, let's open, let's do this. And like Universal open is like June 5th. To open and train people to try to get the switchbacks correct and to make sure like everybody's wearing their masks and like cleaning everything. I just can't believe like Disney to open. I hope that they like are like really thinking about this and they do it like end of July, because this is like, I don't know, scary to think about when all these things are happening with Disney Springs and no one's paying attention to the rules. And you know, I'm seeing like some days people saying it's good, you know, they're wearing their masks, like, and then sometimes I see throughout the day being like, oh my gosh, we had to leave. There was nobody paying attention to their masks, and people frying hot dogs by Raglan Road. It's just like, I don't know. I'm hoping, I hope that Disney opens like at the end of July. So make sure like, you know, everything's safe and good. But if Disney really wants to push it, I can see them opening like mid-July.
And I know that earlier this week, I also received some confirmations from Disney saying that they had canceled some of my dining reservations for my original trip that was happening the second week of June that had already been moved from May. And so they had sent me that personal confirmation saying, sorry, but given, you know, everything that's happening right now, that second week of June is going to be canceled. So, you know, clear indication that second week of June is not something that maybe they're looking at. You know, they're being very clear about, we're not going to welcome you into our restaurants. So, you know, that might be a clear sign that second week of June isn't going to happen. But that isn't saying that the third week of June might happen. So we'll see. Tyler, are you concerned at all that maybe Disney is speeding into this or might be trying to be competitive with Universal?
Yeah, I'm actually very concerned about it. I in this past week, we've had like the highest number of new infections of COVID, you know, worldwide. And it's just things like that I'm like, am I reading different news than everybody else is reading? Because I just feel like we are not close to keeping this down. And if we're just going to decide I'm just kind of like in the mindset right now of like, we're about to throw away these like 2.5 months that we've been in quarantine if we just keep on pressing forward too quickly. And I just don't want that to happen. I don't want to have to go back into quarantine all over again, start from the beginning, because we are pushing a little too quickly. I know people really want to go. I really want to go. I miss Disneyland so much, and it's, you know, it was a part of our weekly thing. We went there 1 or 2 times a week, and now we can't do that anymore. And I understand everybody wants to go back, but and especially with all the anecdotal news, which is a funny word, by the way.
Katrina loves it.
I
do. With all the things that I've been seeing about Disney Springs and how the people are not following the rules, and I heard in particular somebody saw a group of people not wearing masks get approached by one of the yellow shirt wearing cast members who's supposed to be, you know, upholding these mask rules and stuff like that. Asked them to put the mask back on. The people didn't put their mask back on, and the cast member had no choice but to just walk away. Like, what could he do? There's, you know, so me personally, I think there needs to be very serious consequences if you're not going to follow the rules. You know, from being told to leave or even being trespassed, to be honest with you, because I just
dinged on your pass or something.
Because if people don't have a consequence, there's a number of people that won't follow the rules. And I know that sounds very harsh, and I know that's not like the Disney thing, but honestly, we're talking about people's lives. And the Disney magic, unfortunately, is going to have to go out the window in some cases to sacrifice. We're going to have to sacrifice that for people's lives. And that's where I'm at right now. So I don't know. I'm very worried, and I hope everybody knows what they're doing, but it feels like they don't. So I don't know.
Gared, do you think that Disney would put into effect, you know, a reopening plan, perhaps coming in June, since, you know, Universal has already initiated their plan and telling everybody that here's what they're looking at? And I know that it's sort of getting rubber stamped through the process of government right now, and everybody's just saying, yeah, no, this looks good. Yeah, no, come on over. And I believe even the vice president was in Orlando this past week. It sounds like reviewing these plans and talking with all these different leaders of the various institutions of theme parks and all the attractions in the region. Do you think that Disney would reopen if, you know, they didn't feel it was safe? I mean, obviously they have Disney Springs online, and they put their cast members back in action there. Do you think that they would reopen if they didn't think it was safe? And do you anticipate that come middle of June we might see a soft opening for Walt Disney World?
So, as I've said before, as a past cast member, Disney's #1 priority is safety. Unfortunately, with COVID the way it is, nothing is guaranteed to be 100% safe. All we can hope is that Disney makes it as safe as possible. I do not think it will be a beginning of June thing. I think June 25th, that sounds like a good date in my head for something to happen. If they do open, I imagine it will not be all 4 parks. I imagine it would just be maybe Epcot and Magic Kingdom, keep it limited so that they can control every part of the environment. But they'll try and do everything they can. Based off of Tyler's story, I would hope that they would add perhaps more security officers or ask for more Orange County sheriffs to go out there and essentially enforce these rules. Because since it is Disney's property, they could just say, you're not going to follow the rules? I'm sorry, you're going to have to leave. And Disney will have to be a little bit more harsh in that. But I think end of June is more plausible. July, more realistic. But who knows? We'll just have to wait and see. I just hope that more of the rules go in and get enforced so that the safety of everyone is taken into better consideration.
Absolutely. And, you know, Disney is not in the business of confrontation. Disney is not in the business of trying to ruin people's experiences. And I think that, you know, that example that Tyler gave of, you know, the yellow shirt cast members that are there to enforce things, they tried their best. And then when it didn't work, they moved on. Disney's not in the enforcement business. And I think that oftentimes, you know, the willingness to open up these offerings and provide an experience again is trying to be delicately balanced here, and I worry that we're going to see, that headbutting of people that believe a certain set of data versus believing a certain gut feeling or a different set of data, or the CDC changing their mind week to week as to what's important, what's not, what is infectious, how it isn't. There's been a lot of confusing information, and I think that when you pour all that into a population, you get people that are confused, you get people that are indignant, you get people that are enraged, you get people that are upset, you get people that are full of, shaming others even. And so there's this mixture for a very toxic environment, especially in the beginning, because things just aren't clear anymore. And I think that that's a big concern going into these environments of reopening, because you don't have much of a clear defining line for people when it comes to what works and what doesn't. And we know that virus is still out there, and we understand that, a vaccine hasn't been created. And we've heard all these different stories now as to some people are dying over this. Other people don't even have, are not even displaying symptoms. And so it is something that I know Disney wouldn't reopen if they weren't absolutely sure that they could provide some level of safety, some level of comfort. But at the same time, they are posting at their entrances for Disney Springs right now. If you walk in, the sign tells you, you are submitting to all possible, end results of COVID-19 by being there. And so they're making it very clear to people that, we're doing what we can to safeguard you from this, but it's probably here and it's being carried by people potentially, and you're putting yourself in this situation. So a lot to think about going into whether or not Disney's going to potentially reopen this June, and certainly going to be presenting later this week and let us all know what their plan of attack is. There's a lot to consider for them, and I'm excited to see parks get back in the swing of things, but of course nobody wants anyone to fall victim to any sort of illness or any sort of health and safety matter. So excited to see what happens, but I definitely think that on the other side of the country, here in California, I don't think we're going to see Disneyland open anytime soon. Those are two very dramatic differences there. So another discussion topic entirely. All right, my friends, let's dive in to a little ditty from the Dapper Dans. They've come together to share with you and I some grim, grinning ghost tunes from home. Let's take a look.
A skeleton key, of course.
When the crypt doors creak and the tombstones quake, spooks come out for a swinging wake. Happy haunts materialize and begin to vocalize. Grim grinning ghosts come out to socialize. Now don't close your eyes and don't try to hide, or a silly spook may sit by your side, shrouded in a daft disguise. They pretend to terrorize. Boom! Grim grinning ghosts come out to socialize. As the moon climbs higher the dead oak trees, spooks still ride for the midnight spree. Creepy creeps with eerie eyes start to shriek and harmonize. Grim grinning ghosts come out to socialize. When you hear the knell of a requiem bell, weird glows gleam where spirits dwell. Restless bones etherealize, rise the spooks of every size. Grim grinning ghosts come out to socialize. Grim grinning ghosts come out to socialize.
Great job, fellas. Listen, that was a lot of fun, right? We hope you've enjoyed listening to us as much as we've enjoyed singing for you. We'll see you soon with more Voices from Home. And until then, oh, we'll
Sing you a little song, and it won't be very long. About so long, so long.
We'll see you a little later. See you later.
Kingdom Team All-Call time. You know what this means? It is time for questions and answers. You got those questions for us? We know you're submitting them over at KingdomReportLive.com, as well as Kingdom Report Live on social media, and then posting, of course, below via Facebook Live or the Kingdom Report on YouTube. We thank you for that. Our first question comes to us this week from our dear friend Dapper Dan, who asks, what do you feel are some of the most underrated Magic Kingdom attractions? We're going to start with our Walt Disney World reporter, Mr. Gared Hassel. When it comes to Magic Kingdom attractions, what is perhaps one of your most underrated?
It's tough because many Magic Kingdom attractions don't live up to the Disneyland ones, but out of every one of them, I'm going to have to say the People Mover is very underrated. It is it's a great attraction. Every time I go there, I have to go on it, and I love it. It's fun. It's whimsical. It's relaxing, and it's fun to just people watch. So the People Mover for me has to be the underrated Magic Kingdom attraction. It's smack dab in the middle of Tomorrowland, and many times people just walk by it or they see it and they're like, oh, that looks boring. There's no wow factor. There's no explosions or fast speed. You're just cruising at like 3 miles an hour. Well, I like cruising at 3 miles an hour. All right. Plus, it gives me a great chance to see what they're doing on the Tron Light Cycle attraction. So,
well, it does appear that there might be a point of order here, because upon you saying that the People Mover is an underrated attraction, I saw gasping reactions from Tyler and Katrina. Do you disagree?
No, it's not that we don't disagree, but it's not underrated because I feel like so many people love it already.
Yeah, I thought that it was a beloved attraction, but I guess, to each their own. I don't know.
Interesting.
I think it's a great attraction. I love it. It's one of my favorite out there.
No, I'm just saying that oftentimes it can be seen as underrated because everyone's like, I want to go to Seven Dwarfs Mine, I want to go to Big Thunder, while People Mover, it's just like the slow ride where like people that have been there forever, like you and I, like if you put someone that's never been there before and they're like, okay, what do you want to go to in Magic Kingdom? They're not going to be like, I want to go on the slow moving thing in Tomorrowland. They're not going to go on that one. That looks like it's something out of the 1960s, even though it was built in the 70s and 80s.
Right, so
I'll give you that.
More big ticket attractions.
No, I get what you're saying. I'm smelling while you're stepping in.
If you smell what the Gared is cooking, that's right.
Yeah.
Katrina, underrated attraction at Magic Kingdom for you.
Okay. I'm going to say the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh.
Oh, yeah, that is pretty underrated.
It's pretty underrated. I mean, I'm not going to like run to it and stuff, but now with the whole COVID thing, who knows if you're going to be able to play in the queue. I thought that was the most adorable thing ever. Just the little honeybee area where like little kids can play and like move the honeybee along. And then the more you move it, the more like the louder the buzz gets. And then just going to like the honey wall and then just going like this and just playing with the honey to see what kind of pictures underneath. And then I think it's a really great ride and kind of thing for kids because it keeps them occupied. So it's like a ride and a jungle gym in one, like a playground. So it gets like kids occupied, and a lot of people don't really think about it. So I love it.
It's an all-encompassing experience. That's right. And, Gared earlier this year did a complete overview of that very attraction. And so you can check that out at the Kingdom Report on YouTube and experience a little Pooh action with our dear friend Gared. Yeah, there's nothing like Pooh and Gared together. Extra special.
That's what they say.
Nothing like Pooh and Gared together.
That's right. Nope. The two of those together are a special blend, I like to say. And Tyler, underrated attraction for you. What do you got?
I'm actually going to have to go with one that's not exactly a ride, but I am going with Monsters, Inc. Laugh Floor.
Dang it, that's mine.
Oh, I'm sorry. I swiped it from you, but I'll hear I want to hear your opinion as well. But I just think that like so many people just, like Gared was saying about People Mover, just look at it, pass it by, go, what is that? I don't even understand what that is. And they kind of just walk by, or some people see it and maybe they didn't even think it was that funny. But to me, every time I see it, I get a laugh or two. Like I really enjoy it. I actually really like coming up with a really goofy joke and sending it in. And I've had my joke read a couple times during the show. Yeah, it's
He's
been
famous.
I
You're
am
funny
yes,
enough
I
to
am
be featured.
Monster Inc. laugh floor famous.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, I think there's a really great joke that they do in every show that's all about that guy, and I don't want to spoil it for you, but man, it's just so charming, and I just think the technology is really cool too. That you have these basically virtual puppets who can see everything the audience is doing, and I just think it's like a really cool idea. So what do you think about it, there, Wade?
Yeah, so you go into this experience, and it's very much, if anybody's ever been to like Turtle Talk with Crush, kind of the same type of technology, kind of the same type of idea, but on a much grander scale. So much like Turtle Talk with Crush, you can interact with sort of the digital presentation of Crush the Sea Turtle. Only here you get transported to Monstropolis, and you get to help the monsters sort of fill their can with laughter energy. And that is such a, it's something that I feel like I can do several times a trip, because it's different every time I go in there, you know? And so sometimes there are even different acts. Sometimes there's different monsters up on stage, and the jokes are always changing. And so it's this really great environment where you're absolutely right, Tyler. People just kind of walk by and go, I don't really know what that is, or it's a show. It's not worth waiting for. I don't know. I hear a lot of people brush it off that have never even been in it. I love it. I have so much fun going in there, and I have been called on a time or two. I have been the guy that was going to treat everybody in the theater to churros up on the big screen. So got some great applause. Huge win there. So definitely was able to be a part of the experience. But there's nothing more fun in Magic Kingdom to me than being a part of that really like interactive experience with these monsters. And you know, even Roz, who makes that consistent appearance throughout the show, even though a lot of her lines are pretty canned and strategic based on how the show runs, she's still hilarious every time to me. I mean, the deadpan nature of Roz is fantastic. So if you have never been into Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor, it's a must. It's an absolute treat. It's something that I always make sure that I stop off at least once or twice during every Magic Kingdom trip. And we're going to transition here. I was going to say pivot to producer Curt in the production dungeon. Curt, Magic Kingdom, underrated attraction. What do you got?
Well, I mean, since all the good ones were taken now, because I really like the laugh floor as well, but I'm gonna go with the Mickey's Philhar Magic. Because
oh yes,
I enjoy that every time I go. It's nice to sit down. It's air conditioned. Get out of the Florida heat, and I really like anything with Sorcerer Mickey in it. Mm-hmm. So seeing his hat make an appearance throughout, you know, and all the classic Disney, you know, shows and musicals, and just seeing the whole stage just kind of explode and have of magic.
That hat runs the show.
Yeah. So there's two things that you pretty much will always get me is Sorcerer Mickey and Stitch. And if those are in there, I'm good.
Wow.
You have me.
So how did you feel about the dilapidation of Stitch's Great Escape as it faded away?
Well, you know, I actually liked that ride.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything like amazing compared to, you know, everything else at Disney World, but I actually liked it. I enjoyed it, and I was sad to see it go because there's so little things that deal with Lilo and Stitch.
Now, if that were still open, right?
Yeah.
So if that was still an attraction you could go to, is that something that you would consider to be an underrated classic at Magic Kingdom?
I would, yeah. I liked it. It was fun. It was cheesy. It was kind of weird, but you know, it was. Every time I went on it, a little kid was crying.
Yeah.
Because it is also very scary. But
you get locked in your seat.
Yeah, you get locked in your seat.
Dark.
This thing comes down, and you know, Stitch is huge compared to everything. But I mean, I it would be probably the Lilo and Stitch Great Escape ride if it was still there.
Interesting. All right, very good. So that about rounds out some of our favorite underrated Magic Kingdom attractions. Great question. Thank you, Dapper Dandal, for that. Next question comes to us from Abby Johansson. Abby writes, hey, now that Disney Springs has reopened, how and when do you imagine Downtown Disney at Disneyland will reopen since it's so much smaller? Now, this is a great question, guys, because we now know that Universal has a date to return. Disney Springs, as mentioned there, has returned. And there's discussion coming up this very week about when Walt Disney World theme parks will come back online. Do you imagine that we're going to see potentially the same strategy here in California when that eventually comes, that Downtown Disney might be the first to open? What do you think, Tyler?
Yeah, I think that's pretty likely that they'll start with Downtown Disney, but I still think that, you know, Florida and California are very different in their attitudes right now, and I don't know. I guess it's interesting what you were saying earlier today, Wade, how you noticed many people in Orange County were not wearing their masks, as opposed to the people in Los Angeles County. So maybe we're in Los Angeles County. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, and all the people in Orange are going to be clamoring for it to open. But
we just found out that Orange County is now opening like their malls and their restaurants and stuff. So they're trying to push it for opening.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to think that it's going to take longer than Disney World. Disney World will definitely open first, and I think the company itself probably won't want to focus on both at the same time.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense. I think they'll want to focus all their attention on Disney World while that is happening. So that's just my guess, but I don't think we're going to see it till very late summer at the earliest. But I could be very wrong. I was wrong about when Disney World would open. Well, we don't even know yet, I guess. But I was wrong about Disney Springs opening. I didn't think they were going to even open Disney Springs yet. So
sure.
I don't know, man. It sounds very dangerous to me, but I guess we shall see.
Oh, throw caution to the wind and let the magic begin. My goodness. Katrina, when it comes to maybe the hotels, do you think the hotels might get incorporated into Downtown Disney reopening, or do you think the hotels will be like pushed off down the line and that'll be the last thing to come back online?
Oh man, I miss Trader Sam's, so I want the Disneyland Hotel to be open. I think a lot of people will be cheering as I say this because they're like, I miss Trader Sam's too. But I want to say they don't want people walking around the hotel. So I think that if they do phase in, like they're going to keep those shut and then only have access in like 2 points, or something, leading you into just downtown Disney. And then that's it. Because I feel like once they get a grasp of, handling the people that are coming to downtown Disney, then maybe they might start opening like the hotels. But I just feel like people walking around the hotels are bad because it's just like, people hanging out and then causing like, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. Chaos.
Congestion.
No, I don't know. I just like, because there's a lot of people that just like wander around and like sit at the hotels. And I don't think Disney wants that yet.
Linger.
I think they want to contain it.
Yeah. And I think another thing that's important too is that Disney Springs has kind of a lot more to do at it than Downtown Disney does. So even if they opened up Downtown Disney, you would really just go there for a meal or something and then leave. And they barely have any quick serve. I don't want to go to any of that quick service, to be honest with you. I mean, there's much more exciting quick service at Disney Springs. So
that's for sure.
I would only want to go if like all the restaurants were open, and that's going to be, kind of hit or miss with all the social distancing that needs to happen. So I don't know. Is there a reason for them to open Downtown Disney? I mean, I guess, but it's just not as great of a reason as Disney Springs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you've got a lot of third-party participants that, in Downtown Disney that I'm sure probably have different priorities than Disney does, in terms of reopening and getting their businesses back online, and may want to do that quicker. As we saw, a lot of third-party businesses even took a while to close down at Disney Springs beyond when everybody else started to really close down. And as somebody who was, there on the final day of Disney property being open in Downtown Disney in its final hours, most of the third-party stores were closed. The Disney stores, as a Disney-owned and operated locations, were the only ones that I really saw up and running. There was like one or two third-party destinations that still had open doors when I got there, and it was just very eerie. We have that video at the Kingdom Report on YouTube, and it's called Shuttered Kingdom, and it's a great look at how the property was faring in its final hours. And the parks were closed at that point. The hotels had just closed upon my arrival, and Downtown Disney itself was eerily quiet. So you can check that out at the Kingdom Report on YouTube. Gared, being our Walt Disney World reporter, tell us a little bit about, obviously Disney Springs is so much bigger, right? Disney Springs is such a widespread atmosphere. There's so much more to do in that environment. It's like, 4 or 5 times the size of downtown Disney even. It's like got a waterfront on one end. There's just so much more in that capacity. You think about downtown Disney at Disneyland. Are you somebody that would be concerned, especially if you were to come out from the Florida Inn, are you somebody that would be concerned that maybe it's a little too congested, maybe not enough room to social distance?
Yeah, Disney Springs is very spread out, where there's multiple avenues and nooks that you can go into to explore, while Downtown Disney is just pretty much a straightaway from the hotels of Disneyland down to the park. So there's not much to do, and it can be cramped. I remember when I've gone down there, even for a day or so, just getting from the parks to, say, Naples Restaurante, just getting there was kind of congested, where there's not much room. There's so many people in such a small area. It's a great area for socializing and having a fun night. And if you're there for a few days, or if you're a local, it's a great area for that night. I love Downtown Disney, but it's a little cramped for my taste. Disney Springs is just very, very wide. Even from what I've seen with guests now that it's reopened, I can still see how wide it is. While I don't know, Downtown Disney, there's many areas where you get really cramped, especially the bridge that would take you from, say, the monorail station down to the main area towards Walt Disney. There's that one bridge where you'd have vendors along the sides, and you're just stuck in there, just like a conveyor belt going through. So yeah, Disney Springs is definitely the place I'd rather have to go to if I had to choose between the two. But hopefully Downtown Disney will reopen, but I could honestly see the parks reopen before I see Downtown Disney reopen. If I know that doesn't make much sense, but I could see that happen just because there's so much more room in the Esplanade, as well as, or Esplanade, however you pronounce it, along with just the parks in general. So Downtown Disney, that I could see that being put on the back burner, or they're going to have to be a lot stricter than they are at Disney Springs. That's for dang sure.
Yeah, obviously the setup of the Disneyland Resort physically is so dramatically different than, Disney Springs. Disney Springs is a destination that you can travel to. Downtown Disney is sort of, if anybody's never been there, it's wedged between both theme parks. So you have California Adventure one side, Disneyland on the other, and then right down the middle is Downtown Disney, and that all leads to the opposite end of the property, which goes right into sort of the Disneyland Hotel and the hotels of the resort. So it is very different, in terms of how the size and even how the flow of things work there. You've got a parking garage at one end near the hotel side, and then you've got the street side up near the park. So everything in this capacity, in this resort capacity, is very different than what you would experience at, say, a Disney Springs. And so I think you might be right, Gared. I don't necessarily imagine that you're going to see Downtown Disney come online and not the parks. I almost feel like they would want to do, an all-encompassing opening for the sake of having room, to have people move around in. Just because, if you open up Downtown Disney, those corridors can be very thin based on where you might be, especially outside of like the World of Disney store. You're right up against some rock work right there. I mean, those sidewalks can be really small. And so that might entirely be possible that they want to wait. But I think that the third-party participant, third-party operator storefronts and stuff might be applying a little bit of pressure in the regard to open Downtown Disney. So we'll see. It's a lot of great speculation. But I think the Downtown Disney itself may in fact wait for the theme parks to come back online, just because of the way things are set up at Disneyland. It's a tucked away category itself. Tyler, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I was just thinking about some of the businesses there too. Like, I mean, the Lego store is one thing. They're not going to be able to put Legos out anymore to play with. But what do you think is going to happen to the Void?
Right.
Doesn't know that's like a virtual reality thing where you have to wear a helmet, you have to be in a small little room with a group of people. Mm-hmm. Is that business just gone now? We'll see. I'm very curious.
Changes everything. You're absolutely right. And I thought about the Lego store first myself. As like, oh, kids aren't going to be asked to play with those Legos anymore. They're probably going to have to move those buckets out of the way. But you're right. When it comes to things like the Void and virtual reality and everybody wearing headsets and feeling things, and businesses are having to be rethought through this whole process, unfortunately. And what we knew is not what we're going to know until we can all be done safely. So hoping for Downtown Disney to come back online very soon. All right. Next up, we have ourselves a question here from Matterhorn Manny. Matterhorn Manny asks, do you think the Disney College program will ever return to Disneyland or Disney World after COVID-19? This is a great question. I have been getting messages from people myself, direct messages asking me what I think about college programs. So this falls in line with that, especially people that have applied to the college program. And for anybody that doesn't know what that is, Disney College program is an internship where you can work for the company for a semester or two. You can get college credit. You also get paid to work in an operational capacity at Disneyland or Walt Disney World. It's a great way to get access to company executives and learn the Disney way. And you walk away with the Disney stamp on your resume, even though you'd only spent, a semester or two in the environment. So it's a really great opportunity and has been a big part of the workforce out at Walt Disney World for a number of years. Disneyland to a much lesser degree, but they do exist. Gared, Mr. Walt Disney World, tell us, when it comes to college program returning, what do you see in your crystal ball?
So in my crystal ball, so as we all know, when the parks reopen, we're going to see a lot different things, not just from an environment standpoint, but also economic. I could see Disney bringing back the college program before they bring back part-time and seasonal, just because the college program will return. It is such a huge part of Walt Disney World's operations. Plus, it's cheap labor. Many people think, oh, you're making thousands upon thousands. No, you're not making that much. You're making enough to live and have some fun, and it's a great experience. I got to be a part of that, but it will come back for sure. There's no doubting that. I would rather see college program kids there than seasonal part-time, not because I don't like the seasonal part-time, but because from a PR standpoint, the college program is so much better. Because like seasonal and part-time, they'll occasionally talk about it, but when you have 10,000 college age kids all talking about like, oh my gosh, I got to work at Disney World, it was the best place ever, it makes the company look a whole lot better. So I could see the college program coming back sooner than most people would think. I could see it coming back hopefully by not this fall, but maybe next summer. Like, I know that might be a little hopeful, but I could see that come back because Disney just is currently building a massive property of housing outside Walt Disney World that is specifically for the college program kids. So they want to make sure they get that return on investment, because like they wouldn't have built it without that. So the college program will come back. They're great PR, and honestly, they bring some of the most optimistic and the best outlook towards working there. Even if they work in some place like Cosmic Rays, they still go there being like, I'm making magic every day. Not everyone else gets to do this. All my friends back in Ohio, they don't get the chance to do this. So the college program, it's a place where many Disney careers start.
Yeah. No, great input, great take. Very true. And Katrina, Disneyland's college program is so significantly smaller than Walt Disney World for obvious reasons, right? Walt Disney World has 4 theme parks, 2 water parks. Downtown Disney Disney Springs is, 5 times the size. And so there's so much more that they need in terms of workforce out in Walt Disney World. But the Disneyland side, it's a very small fraction of what makes up the cast member demographic, at the property. And I almost wonder if, perhaps we see it done away with at Disneyland entirely and maybe brought back only in a Disney World capacity. Is that something you think we might see? Is that something you would consider as a possibility?
I think so. I mean, kind of like Gared said, it's like a PR thing. Like, it makes it look like they're doing a great thing, giving back to, potential, like people coming out of college and just doing like workforce. It's cheap, but there's not a lot going to Disney World, or to Disneyland. So I think Disneyland, they may use it as like do away with it and then hire on like part-time people or just stick to maybe like hiring for like unions and stuff, because it'll just make them look like they're giving back to the community in Orange County and Disneyland, but then just focusing all of that internships and stuff into Disney World. Because honestly, it's kind of rare when you actually find somebody at Disneyland that does the internship over there. Because I mean, it's kind of like few and far between. I think I knew like a handful of people that did it and they loved it. Mm-hmm. But when you go to Disney World, who is in the college program. And I think they're not going to do it for a while. Even if they did decide to bring it back to Disneyland World, or Disneyland. Sorry, I'm like getting mixed up now. If they decide to bring it back to Disneyland, it's probably not going to be for a couple years until they kind of do good PR for hiring people back and like, lowering the unemployment rate. And then for Disney World, I feel like it could come back in like the next year or so. So they can have their good PR for helping college students out. And then it's cheaper labor.
Right. You raise a good point. I mean, if there's not a need, there's not a need for, a person in a position. And if there's already concern about putting the full-timers back to work, they're definitely not going to go the route of bringing the individuals from the college program back when all of that was there to really just supplement what was already in existence. And I know that, for the Disneyland version, the college program kids, they lived down in the downtown district of Anaheim, and they had a great place to live. I helped move many of them in and out as part of my responsibilities in leadership at Disneyland. And it was always a real treasure to be able to, experience that with them. And had I known about the college program while I was in college, I would have absolutely done it, because it seems like an experience that you'll never forget, that will, top your list of experiences in life. And so it was always something that I was kind of jealous that I never knew about. But it was something that, as a new hire manager at the resort, I was always responsible for those new hire teams. And I would always get a handful based on where I was that were college program students. And so I would spend a lot of time, helping to guide them, mentor them, get them through the process of some of them, it was their first and only job at the time. And, that's a huge deal, right? When you're walking into Disneyland and that's your first real job, a lot of life skills to learn in that capacity, a lot of different things to pick up on. Tyler, Walt Disney World being so big and needing so many extra thousands of employees online at any given time, is going the route of, maybe opening one park at a time, maybe two parks. We don't necessarily know yet, but there's speculation that might happen, that it might just be a park here, a park there in terms of reopening phases. And the real concern is that there are so many thousands of cast members that they've relied on for so long that have been a part of the college program that fill those frontline roles that, is there a pent-up demand that might come flooding into Walt Disney World, and they might need to hire those folks back?
Yeah, I don't know. See, I mean, they could very well do the open individual parks. My thing is like the PR for the college program is very good during normal times for me. But if they're going to be casting aside, if they decide that they need to actually legitimately fire some people, I think calling in the college program after firing part-timers and seasonal people would be a real bad look. That's my personal take, and I would be an angry cast member if I had realized, oh wait, they're firing me, but they're bringing back college program. Like, that doesn't make sense, And granted, I know it works really well for Disney. They don't pay college program as much as they pay the other people. And also, if you think about it, the college program people have nothing to do but go back to Disney, and all the money they earn just goes right back into buying merchandise and food, right? So, I mean, I get it. I just, there's a lot of dangerous stuff, I feel like, with having a bunch of college age people living together in a dorm right now. And I think Disney, if I was Disney anyway, I would be taking that very seriously, because you're not going to be able to control people, random people living together. That's a really dangerous situation, in my opinion. So I don't know. They could, but I just don't see it happening. I don't think. I think college program will come back. I just think it's going to be quite a while.
Definitely. And, Disney knows that it is, in fact, a dangerous element to have everybody sort of living on top of each other, which is why, you might recall that college program in Walt Disney World was the very first thing to be let go. It was the very first thing to be sort of shoved out the door. And I believe it even happened while we were on the air at one point a couple months back, where we were getting that word. Gared was at Epcot and had been hearing from folks that They were being released and being told you got to get out within a weekend, and everybody was just being shuffled right out of college program housing and being told it's time to go. And so they definitely took that into account, and they were the first to be released. I would say that upon talking to various sources within the company, it does sound like there's still a need down the line for college program, because they do anticipate that crowds and demand is going to build back up, and that it sounds like potentially what's being targeted right now, at least. And it's not anything, finite. It's not anything that's being underscored, but an ideal target at the moment, it sounds like, is going to be in the beginning of next year. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, a lot can change. We don't know when it comes to this virus if there's going to be a second rally of the thing come fall. There's a lot of talk about that might happen. And if so, how will that affect the theme parks? It's going to be really hard to see the theme parks rally back. If a second wave hits and there has to be a shutdown again, that's going to, I think, throw another stone or 10 into this pond and just make things even worse. So as far as the question goes, though, it sounds like they are targeting next year, so 2021, the beginning of 2021, for some sort of return to college program. What that looks like might be dramatically different from what we've experienced before, from what we've seen before. But Gared's right. They have built a whole new housing complex for college program students out in Walt Disney World. And I'm sure they don't want that to go to waste either. And maybe they do come back with less people per unit, or, one person per unit. I mean, we'll see what happens. But as of right now, it sounds like they're targeting 2021. So for anybody that had applied, this year or had been accepted this year, I know you were excited. I know you were pumped. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like, based on everything that's going on, it's going to be all that practical in 2020. So we wish you a lot of luck if you're a college program participant or somebody that wanted to be a college program participant. And we wish you all the luck with 2021 being the year that it may return. All right, you stick around. More Kingdom Report Live for you next.
Do you know everything the ghost host is going to say before he says it? Are you ready to thank the Venetians each time you board Spaceship Earth? Can you recite Walt's opening day dedication speech? Then join the Kingdom team today, the influential legacy fan community featuring exclusive merchandise that will alert all who've come to this happy place that you are more than just another guest. You are a trusted theme park fan. Don't miss out. Join the Kingdom team right now by visiting the homepage at kingdomreportlive.com. That's kingdomreportlive.com. And now, back to the magic.
And we bring our broadcast to a close with a live look outside at the Matterhorn at Disneyland Resort. Again, if we can't be there physically, it is nice to be able to see that beauty from a distance via the Mattercam and hojoanaheim.com. And you see there the castle spires as we do a quick pan on over the resort and look on out towards the Disneyland Hotel there. It's a great thing to be able to see. Again, if we can't be there physically, it's so nice to be able to get a glimpse of these mountains and the scapes that bring us so much happiness. You can always check that out at hojoanaheim.com. Well, my friends, that about brings us to a close for this broadcast. Can't believe that it passes by so quickly. There's always so much to talk about and cover. But we're going to go around the world and ask our friends if they have anything to close us out. We'll start with Gared. Any closing notes for us, sir?
I hope everyone has a great Memorial weekend. Thank you to all those that have served, as well as thank you to those that have given their lives in defense of this magical and great country that we call home. I just hope everyone's staying safe and is remaining to stay active. And that's all I have.
Stay safe and stay active. Hear, 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 hear. Very good. Tyler, Katrina, anything to close us out this Memorial Day weekend?
I have the same sentiments. Just happy Memorial Day. Everybody be safe out there. It's crazy times. I don't know. I know probably everybody's going a little insane being at home, but let's just be safe about returning to our business. And I'm gonna keep on posting stuff on the Attraction Faction Twitter. I posted some photos of the Disneyland Hotel yesterday. with the marina and the old balconies that used to be there.
I saw that.
Yeah,
so cool.
And I know I miss those balconies, but I understand why they're gone. Probably a bunch of families and balconies do not mix. They were not really balconies. They were more of just fences in front of windows. So.
Faux balconies, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm going to keep on posting fun stuff like that. So come and check it out.
Yeah, they've been a real treat. Nostalgia trip. That's for sure. Katrina, what about you?
Well, happy Memorial Day. Remember the fallen, and thank the veterans that helped save the country and protect it. And nothing really happening in my neck of the woods. I don't know. Just posted on Instagram, looking at Instagram. I don't know. Seeing the new kind of social vibes. Everybody's taking pictures at Disney Springs with their little mask covers and stuff.
And
it's the new in
and their hot dogs.
Yeah, what'd you guys think about that? So obviously there's a photo going around of a woman alongside of another woman, alongside of a child, and they're right outside of looks like Cooks of Dublin, and they had, and Cooks of Dublin is closed in Disney Springs, but they had like a grill that they had brought into Disney Springs and they were cooking. Don't necessarily know the backstory. A lot of rampant, unofficial claims as to what was really happening, but there's Disney security in the picture. They're being talked to. What was that about?
It was so silly. And then there's like another picture that came, and there was another table full of the people eating the hot dog with all of the condiments. So there was like, I think probably like at least 8 or 9 people in that other picture. And they were all not wearing masks. The people that were cooking, there was an elderly lady that had a mask, but it was like under the nose. So that doesn't help. And then I think people were saying that they were Jewish or something, and like cooking like kosher meat, like kosher hot dogs, because there's nothing open that was kosher. But that doesn't give you any right to have an open flame in a private property.
Yeah. If you can't eat at Disney Springs, maybe don't go to Disney Springs.
Right.
I don't know. That's just my opinion.
It's not a park. It's just, it's next to parks, but it's not a public park.
I respect their religion if that was the case, but I'm not telling them not to do what they're doing, but except for the fire part. Don't bring the fire.
Yeah, you
don't
can
do
bring
that.
the hot dogs if they were cold, but don't, bring open flames in a barbecue. And given a lot of people I see are saying, well, security let them in, so that's okay. And again, I want to reiterate, there is no security at Disney Springs.
Yeah.
They just check
bag check, you mean?
Yeah, bag check.
Yeah.
There's no bag check security at Disney Springs. There's just temperature check now.
Will that be your next vlog, Gared, grilling at Disney Springs?
Ooh.
Actually, yeah, I've got a whole plethora of things.
Shish
I'm gonna
kebabs.
do. I've got some kebabs going. I'm thinking about doing a nice steak, possibly a New York strip, and also possibly doing some shrimp on the Barbie. I'm gonna mix it up. I might even make like might kind and do like maybe make some donuts on the grill. I don't know. I'm gonna get creative.
You should go set up in front of STK, because I know your food's gonna be better.
No, absolutely. I will use the cheapest piece of meat, and it will still taste better because I'll add love. I am a team chef. That's right.
Bring Ariel, and she can be your DJ.
Absolutely. DJ Bubbles and Drum After Garrett.
Wow, as if STK wasn't having a hard enough time returning to business already. They get the Tyler Slam. Look at that.
I mean, they're already bringing back happy hour, so that's how desperate they are.
Wow.
They already started promoting a happy hour.
Yeah, I saw they had like a burger for $10.99, and it was like this great meal deal. And I was like, when was the last time you saw anything that cheap in Disney Springs? How great.
Yeah.
Not even Deluxe has burgers that cheap.
Doing what they can. My goodness. Well, we hope you guys have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. Thanks for being a part of the broadcast as always. And we want to salute the fallen and everybody who has participated in our United States Armed Forces. We are very blessed and very grateful for your sacrifice. Thank you for making this beautiful country what it is. And remember, my friends, next week, Saturday, 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific, for an all-new Kingdom Report Live. The legacy of Walt Disney lives on because of people like you and me. We'll see you next Saturday.